When my daughter moved out, everyone asked me what I was going to do next. I had an answer for them. I just didn't have one for myself.
That gap between the life you can explain and the life you can actually feel is where today's conversation begins. What do I want, apart from what I should want? It sounds like a simple question. For many women, it is anything but simple. Welcome to the Self-Care Cafe podcast. I'm your hostess, Pami Parker. Here at the cafe, we take a gentle pause from the busyness of life and gather around conversations that nourish the heart, the mind, and the spirit. On today's menu, we're serving a little reflection, a little wisdom, and a few thoughtful insights to support you as you navigate life's transitions and reconnect with what matters most. So settle in, take a breath, and let's begin. I'm glad you're here, Mara. You work with women who are moving through changes in identity, family life, work, and purpose. When someone says, "I don't know what I want anymore," what do you hear beneath that sentence?
Often, I hear exhaustion before I hear confusion. A woman may have spent years knowing exactly what everyone else needs from her. She knows the school schedule, the household budget, the next professional goal, the family emergency plan. Then something changes and the old instructions disappear. The silence can feel like failure, even when it is really an invitation to notice herself again. That is such an important distinction. The silence is not proof that she has lost herself. It may be the first quiet space she has had in a long time.
Exactly. And sometimes the voice that fills that space is not desire at all. It is obligation wearing a familiar coat. Someone says, "I want to be more productive," when what she may want is rest. She says, "I want to keep everyone happy," when what she may want is permission to disappoint someone kindly. Comparison can disguise itself that way too. We see someone starting a business, traveling, dating again, or creating a beautiful home, and we think, maybe that is what I need. But perhaps we are reaching for the freedom, belonging, admiration, or fresh start that the image seems to represent. Yes, an image can be a clue without being a blueprint. I remember a client who kept saying she wanted to open a small shop. She had spreadsheets, names for the shop, even ideas for the sign. But when we slowed down, she realized the deeper longing was to have beauty and creativity in her week. She did not need to resign from her job or become a shop owner to begin listening.
That is the kind of distinction that can lower the pressure. We can ask, what is the life I am imagining trying to give me, rather than assuming we must reproduce the entire picture.
And inherited ideas matter here. Maybe success was defined as being dependable, accomplished, financially secure, endlessly generous, or visibly calm. Maybe wanting more was selfish, while wanting less was praised as noble. We do not have to blame our families or reject everything we learned. We can simply notice that some of our preferences were handed to us before we had a chance to choose them. And if someone feels numb rather than full of longing,
then numbness is information too, not a character flaw. After caregiving, grief, achievement, or years of adapting, pleasure and preference may be quiet. The first honest want might be, "I want to stop pretending I know," or "I want more quiet," or even, "I want someone to sit beside me while I figure this out." We do not force an answer just to make the exercise look successful.
That brings us to the phrase I keep returning to. Desire is information, but it is not always an instruction.
I love that phrase, but I want to push it a little. Sometimes I'm gathering information can become another way to postpone ourselves forever. We can analyze a want until it has no life left in it. That is true. Listening should not become a permanent waiting room. Maybe the middle path is to listen honestly and then take one small step without pretending that the step settles our entire future. Yes, a body signal can help, but it needs context. Relief might mean you are moving towards something nourishing. It might also mean you are escaping something difficult. Contraction might be fear, or it might be useful caution. We can ask what the signal says, then consider timing, consequences, responsibilities, resources, and support. So we are not treating the body as an oracle. We are treating it as one source of information among several. Exactly. You might notice an easier breath, warmth, spaciousness, curiosity, or a small spark of energy. You might notice dread or heaviness. You can be curious about all of it without obeying any of it immediately. Let's give listeners a way to try this. If you are driving, walking somewhere busy, or caring for someone, keep your attention with what you are doing and return to the practice later. Otherwise, let your breathing be natural. Nothing has to be solved right now. Ask yourself, what is one small thing I would like a little more of this week? Not a total reinvention, not a way to prove you are becoming your best self, just something low stakes and kind. For me, the answer might be a walk before I answer anyone's messages. Not because I need a new fitness identity. I think I want the feeling of having a little space before the day begins making claims on me. That is beautiful. The walk is the surface want, and underneath it may be space, quiet, or a sense of belonging to your own morning. Listeners, you might ask, what could this want be pointing toward? If nothing comes to mind, try asking, what sounds relieving? What feels quietly interesting? Or what would make today 5% more humane? Blankness is an answer for now. So is uncertainty. We are practicing contact with ourselves, not performing insight. Then choose one compassionate experiment. If you want creativity, put colored pencils on the table for 15 minutes. If you want connection, send one honest message. If you want rest, protect 20 quiet minutes without making yourself earn them first. And make it reversible. You are gathering experience, not signing a contract with a new identity. Try the experiment, then notice. Did I feel more present, nourished, bored, anxious, relieved, or unchanged? A want that does not lead somewhere is not a failed want. It may have clarified what you need next. That is especially important in a transition. A longing can be real without being ready for action. We can hear it, honor it symbolically, discuss it with someone we trust, and still wait for better timing. Self-trust is not obeying every impulse. It is listening honestly, responding thoughtfully, and remaining on our own side. And sometimes remaining on your own side means getting more support. If a transition brings persistent numbness, intense distress, or difficulty functioning, a trusted professional can be part of the care. You do not have to turn self-reflection into a private assignment. Before we close, write down one small want, if one has appeared. Then ask, what do I notice when I imagine honoring it? What value or need might be underneath it? What is one kind, realistic experiment I can try this week? And if your page says, I am learning how to want, let that be enough for today. You do not need certainty before curiosity. A small want can be a doorway back toward aliveness, not a demand to become someone else. Mara, what small want will you listen for this week? A morning walk before the messages begin. Nothing dramatic, just a little room to remember that my day belongs to me too. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Mara, for this thoughtful conversation. If today's episode gave you a little room to hear yourself more clearly, visit the Self-Care Cafe website for the reflection guide that accompanies this episode. You can use it with a cup of tea, during a quiet walk, or whenever you need a gentle place to begin again. And if the podcast feels supportive, consider sharing it with a woman who may be navigating a transition of her own. Come as you are, leave nourished.